Today I'm going to be testing the Swordfish Ikon sharpener because I've had a lot of requests for this, and if you want to check out any of the materials, I do have the affiliate links down below if you want to check them out and support the channel further. So I bought this sharpener from Amazon and I was really pleasantly surprised with how this was packaged. I liked the fact that this came in a little box and there was a lot of instructions and things on the side of the box on how to put the sharpener together, and it was pretty much just all together as it was, and it actually had a desktop clamp with it as well. So if you want to actually attach this to your desktop you can, and then that way it won't move, so it is there and it's sturdy. So when I actually opened up the box for the first time, the Swordfish sharpener was packaged in some plastic wrapping, and then it had the individual clamp on the side there as well, with a little instructions leaflet on the inside too. So it sort of showed you how to put this together and how to clamp it to your desk, which I really like. I do like the idea of this, and it is very similar to the Derwent Superpoint manual sharpener as well, which I own, where you can actually have that attached to your desk as well. The sharpener itself, although looks big, is not as big as the Derwent Superpoint manual sharpener, so I was actually quite surprised about that because I did think it was going to be the same size, but it is actually a little bit smaller, and I guess that would be a good thing for people because if you're limited on space, you don't really want to have a huge bulky sharpener lying around that you can't fit into a drawer and things, and this does actually fit into my drawer, whereas my Derwent sharpener doesn't. So this is the little leaflet that comes inside the box, and it just gives you the operating instructions, and it tells you all about the sharpener, how to use it, how to clamp it onto the desk, how to get rid of the shavings and that sort of thing. So let's take a look at the quality of the Swordfish sharpener, and I am just showing some up close shots of this compared to the Derwent sharpener so you can get an idea of sort of like the size and how it compares to that sharpener. And on first impressions, I really do like this sharpener. I think that it is a really neat design, and it's also really good for practicalities as well. And when I actually tested this sharpener out, the quality of it is really, really good. So you have the front of the sharpener where you put the pencil into it, in through the hole and into the actual mechanism of the sharpener, and then you have the back of the sharpener with the crank that you wind up. And the difference between this sharpener and the Derwent Superpoint manual sharpener is that this actually has an anti-lock device on it, so when you actually reach the point of the pencil being sharpened, the crank will actually stop in place, so you won't be able to sharpen it anymore, and that's good because you know when it's sharpened, and if you carry on sharpening it you can then end up breaking the lead, and that hasn't happened so far with this pencil sharpener, whereas it has a couple of times with the Derwent. So let's actually test this pencil sharpener out. So the first thing that you have to do is actually press the little lever on the side of the sharpener and bring the tray forward, and then you put the sharpener into the hole and push it into the mechanism. Then you just wind the sharpener with the crank until it hits that stop point where you can't sharpen anymore, and then you just press the lever and pull the pencil out. And I think it gave really great sharpening results. It was very, very similar to the Derwent Superpoint manual sharpener and the results that I get for that, and it was really quick and easy to use this sharpener. I did notice that on a couple of the pencils the tip of the pencil had broken slightly, but that sometimes happens with the Derwent sharpener as well, and it's just because it does become more fragile as it is sharpened to a really fine point. But I can still use my pencils for a long time without having to resharpen them, and that's really important to me. But to be fair, I did want to try this sharpener out with a few more pencils because it's not really fair to base my opinion just on sharpening one pencil, so I actually decided to sharpen 3 pencils of a similar bluntness and sharpness to them. So I took some polychromos pencils and they all had like relatively blunt ends, and I just used the sharpener to see how well they sharpened, and for each pencil I got a really, really good result, and it really did help with the anti-stop on the crank where it actually stopped in place and then you knew that it was sharpened. With the Derwent Superpoint manual sharpener, it doesn't have that anti-stop mechanism, but you can actually feel the grasp on the pencil becoming looser as it sharpens. But there's still been a few times when I have sharpened them a bit too much and then they've broken, whereas so far with the Swordfish, I've not had that. And I did get some really good results, and I actually managed to get really sharp points on all of the pencils that I sharpened with this pencil. And I'd actually say that after trying this for a few times, doing a few attempts with sharpening pencils, I started to get the hang of using the sharpener, and I noticed that as I started to get the hang of using the sharpener, the points became a lot sharper and they were a lot more defined as well. So there we can see a comparison between a blunter pencil that's not been sharpened with this sharpener and a pencil that has been, and there's definitely a huge difference in the sharpness and the point as well. So let's test the durability of the pencils. I wanted to see how well they performed on paper, because it's all well and good sharpening them, but you really should test them to see how long they're going to last. And I did notice that very quickly when I was applying a lot of pressure, the tip of the pencil did break very quick, and that is something to bear in mind, because obviously if you're wanting to have really sharp pencils for a lot of detail, if you're going to sharpen the pencils but they're only going to break straight after, then that might be something that you're not overly happy with. However, when I used less pressure, I didn't get nearly as many of the pencils breaking. It was only when I was applying a really hard pressure. And I have to say, even with applying a lot of pressure, those pencils still lasted quite a long time. And that's really good, because when it comes to multi-use, you can definitely use this sharpener over and over again, but it doesn't cause a lot of wear and tear to the pencils because you're not actually sharpening them a lot. And that's really important, because the more that you sharpen your pencils, then the less pencil there's going to be and the quicker the pencil will go down. And I don't have to sharpen the pencils a lot at all with this sharpener, because they will hold their point for a very long time. And that is really important to me. It's important that I get the most out of the sharpener and also out of the pencils as well. And I have had a lot of problems with sharpeners in the past where it kept breaking the pencils, or it would damage the lead or the wooden casing, and then before I knew it, the pencil was no longer, I wasn't able to use it anymore because it had become so small and blunt all the time and it had damaged the pencil. So my final thoughts on this sharpener is, I think that is a really good sharpener. It's excellent quality, it's really easy to use, and it can be used over and over again. It doesn't damage the pencils and it sharpens them to a really fine point, and with careful use you can keep that point really sharp for a long time, so you don't actually have to use this sharpener over and over again, whereas you would be with using a cheaper sharpener that doesn't sharpen the pencils properly. I also love the little tray that the sharpener has, and it will hold a lot of wood shavings before it gets full and has to be emptied. So if you don't want to keep getting up and down and clearing the mess from the sharpeners, then this is a really good pencil sharpener to use. So I really hope that you did enjoy this video. Please make sure that you do subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will look forward to seeing you in a new video. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye!